What's up, guys? My name's Tyler. Gamer tag is Spartan. Been competing for 12 or 13 years now. We're here at the Salt Lake City Major here in August of 2025. I'm looking forward to getting into the action this weekend. Always pumped for LAN. It's the best place to be. Like I said, I've been competing for 12 or 13 years, and nothing compares to actually playing on LAN against others. And what separates me from other people, I think, is my work ethic. You know, I might not be up on the Mount Rushmore with some of these other players, but I think at the end of the day, once I am done, I will have cemented something, and that is my goal. My goal is always to win, no matter what. I hate losing more than I love winning, and I'm always gonna put in a ton of work because hard work will beat talent. And I think that's the biggest thing that separates me from others. What inspired me to get into playing Halo is my older brother, Travis. He no longer with me anymore, but he got me into the Halo franchise when I was a kid. I was 7 years old when Halo CE came out, and I mean, that was it from there. It was, you know, played Halo 1 with all the kids in the neighborhood, LANing, bunch of tube TVs, and then Halo 2 came out with Xbox Live, and it was just, I was grinding that, and then Halo 3 dropped on the 360, same thing, just grinding. Didn't really know what like MLG was and all that yet at the time. I didn't really know until about a year after Halo 3 came out. And my older brother and I, and my other brother as well, kind of like started following it. And the player that I really always looked up to was Roy. And just watching him play, watching him do what he did, he was definitely the player that I looked up to the most. So the most influential people who really got me into competing are my older brothers and Roy. Yeah, so I mean, back in Halo 3 Online, I was a 13, 14-year-old kid just playing the game every day after school when I went to school. And yeah, no, I would grind out every ranked playlist. That was like my thing, is I'd grind an account all the way to like 50 in different playlists, and then I'd sell that account for a few $100s. That's how I got my first like pro setup. I sold one of my accounts for like a few $100s and bought a monitor and Astros. And yeah, that's pretty much what I did. I would get rank 50 in MLG, sell the account, rinse, repeat, and made a decent bit of money as a kid. But once I didn't really know like there was like a competitive scene at the time. I didn't even really know like video game tournaments were a thing. So once I found out about MLG and I started watching, and my brothers and I were watching, and like we really got into it, and my older brother kind of pushed me to like try to start competing. And at the time it was a little bit harder because I was younger. I was like 13, 14 years old, and my mom wasn't exactly like ready to drop me off at the airport and be like, see you in a few days, you know? Like that was back when the internet was still kind of like new. And yeah, no, my mom had it in her head that it was gonna be like a whole like movie, like Taken. Like you know, she's gonna have to go Liam Neeson and find me in some other country. But yeah, so like didn't really get to compete. I played in the FFA at Meadowlands 09 because I lived like an hour away. But ultimately, I really didn't start competing until I had turned 18, right when Halo 4 dropped. And I mean, that title was abysmal, but that's a whole different conversation. But that's when I really started like competing and got my name out there a bit. And then once HCS became a thing with Halo 2 Anniversary, that's kind of when I came in and made my name. I went pro at the second HCS tournament, and then from there it was just, that was it. I was just competing. I mean, that was at the end of, no, that was actually St. Louis. It was like New Year's, St. Louis, like 1st through 3rd or something. And that was 2015, so here we are, I mean, 10 and a half years later. And yeah, I'm still here, I'm still doing my thing. Yeah, it all goes back and stems from my older brothers, and like I said, watching Roy, it was like, he was an inspiration, man. Like that guy was, I mean, he's a legend. So shout outs to them, because without them like giving me that motivation and having Roy to look up to as a player, I don't know if I ever would have pushed myself to compete. Right at the beginning of Halo 4 is when I really kind of wanted to flip that switch. I had formed a team with one of my best friends from high school, or actually it was a couple of my best friends and like another guy we knew from Halo 3. And then we went to like a local tournament, we played together, and then me and one of my best friends met 2 other people at that tournament, and then we started teaming, playing a lot online. And then at the time there was like AGL events, and we traveled to those, and we were nobodies. Like nobody knew who we were. We were just some randoms, and we went to like the biggest AGL tournament. It was like AGL Nashville in 2013, and we got top 8. And yeah, that was like huge for all of us, because like I said, like we were literally just nobodies. And like once I did that, that was like kind of like dude, I love competing. I love being at stations, playing alongside people, and playing, like, I can look over the monitor and yell at people. Like, there's not, like I said earlier, like, there's nothing like it. And at that point, that's all I wanted to do. I didn't even really think it was gonna be possible to like make a career out of it. I just wanted to do it out of pure passion. And once the opportunity presented itself to really actually become like my job, I mean, that was it. I mean, thankfully, at the time, my parents were really supportive of it, and my dad and my stepmom gave me the resources to be able to put a lot of my time into it without having to worry too much about finances. Because I mean, back at the beginning of HCS, I mean, people were getting paid. I was on Liquid getting paid significantly less than I was making at GameStop at the time. So it wasn't really livable, but it was still like a dream. It was still a passion. And then throughout, like over the course of HCS, like salaries like went up as the games were newer and the viewership went up, and there was potential. And then it really became like a thing where I didn't have to work at a GameStop and also be streaming and streaming it. Like, I mean, I slept for like I don't know, 3-4 hours a day, which at like 20 or 21 is easy, but nowadays not so much. But yeah, no, it was around that turning point really was at the beginning of Halo 4, where me and 3 people just random, like, friend from high school and 2 people we met at a local tournament, like, come together and we placed top 8, and that was like, damn, we actually can like compete. That was raps. That was raps for me. I was in it, and I wasn't coming out. My dad, like, first of all, was like my dad. Family was pushing me. Like, my dad was super supportive. My older brother, Travis, was super supportive. I remember like one of my first pro tournaments was out in California, and my brother was living there at the time, and I flew out and he got to watch me in person, and just stuff like that was super motivational. And I didn't really know or think it was gonna turn into like something that could be sustainable. I just had, and I still have, just so much passion for competing and whatnot that like that was like my plan. I was like gonna always put in that time, the motivation from my family, and yeah, honestly, it just comes down to passion. It was just all passion, and I didn't really know where it was gonna go until we got there.